So I hand over to you, Johanna. But before, as I said, let's give a big round of applause, that loud that the people over there wake up. 1, 2, 3. Woo! You're fantastic. Thank you.
It should be like Good Morning Tallinn, right? Because everybody's sleeping. That's what it is. I just want to say that we have the best topic. You know, worthless JPEGs. That should be like the topic of the whole movement in Web3, you know, because that's the question all the time. Like, why? You know, why? I've been running around listening to all these amazing speeches and panels and everything here, and it's all about the how, really. It's a lot about the how. It's the tech. The tech is, you know, amazing and it's moving really fast, but it's also about the how for artists. You know, where am I supposed to mint? How am I, you know, supposed to do it? Is it better to be outside of Web3? Is it better to be inside of Web3? If I'm a traditional artist, should I all of a sudden become a digital artist? What does that mean? How does it work? How does it work? You know, but I'm thinking if we have this topic up here, maybe we should do the why. Why do we want it to work, you know? What's the value of it? What's the value for the artist? What's the value for, you know, the programmers, for the builders, for the collectors, for, you know, what's the value of it? We're all having super fun here. I am having super fun. I mean, it's great. But that question do show up very often. I'm a founder of an art community. We're actually sending art to the moon, so we're so cool. But why are we sending art to the moon? Of course, because everybody says, you know, to the moon. That's why we're sending art to the moon. But it's a lot of whys out there, you know. So I was thinking, why are JPEGs worthless? You know, can we start with the why? And do you guys want to say something? Because I wanted really to start to ask you, Andreas, since you're the art. No, I actually want to start with you. Do the art part first, if I can. So you want to say something about you, Darko?
So, hello everyone. My name is Darko, digital artist, doing curation in the space, part of PizzaDAO, but mostly focused on the art side and supporting art as much as possible and trying to bring the basically Web3 art, crypto art into the traditional world for more people to see it, which are hopefully doing a good job recently. Thank you.
And Andreas here, because he's from the other part of it, you know, the how, but also the why how, the platform part of it, like where do we go? I mean, if we as artists want to get into Web3 and we want to tokenize our art and we want to be part of that community and that new tech and whatever and have that opportunity too for some people, because I mean, some people like me are traditional artists, digital artists, and everything artists, you know, whatever art is fun, and some are just in here. I mean, starting up in here with projects and everything. But we need to be somewhere. We need to have a home. I mean, that's why the tech and the artist needs to be best friends, you know, somehow, because, you know, I can't live without you. And I really hope you can't live without me. So, Jess, what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm the techie in this panel, and I'm building NFT marketplace, minting solutions, things like that, on a novel layer 1 blockchain called Chia, which tries to like improve a lot of the things that have been built on other ecosystems and just look at what went right and what didn't go so well and improve those parts that didn't go so well, just to give back control to artists, to the owners of the works and all that. And I mean, that's a big part of the why, because I mean, why do we use NFTs? It's because it gives back this idea of scarcity in a world, in a digital world that usually is abundant. Because, I mean, we all grow up with digital things that are, or the digital things that we all learned about or experienced is all copy. You can do exact copies of everything all the time. And so the question is, what is unique? There is no uniqueness in digital data, just because you can always do exact copies of it, and there's no difference between the first and the second copy. But with NFTs, you are actually able to say, and now this thing is unique, and this thing is something that is not copyable. I mean, you can do a similar thing with additions, like something like that, but it's not the same thing, and therefore it kind of gives I mean, it could be value, some kind of value, depending on how much you value scarcity in that digital world, but it is something. And it's a very interesting concept to bring that into this digital abundant world, which it will only get more abundant with all the AI stuff coming up now.
Interesting, and it is true because that's also a question that comes around about the worthless JPEG. Like you can just download it. Why should I pay for it? I could just steal it. So why own it? Or I could just whatever. It's just a digital, and like you say, you can make 100, and they're all the same. And this tech makes it different. It makes it different. You get to get that artist first impression kind of thing. And it depends on the project, of course. I mean, we have the 10,000 things, and then we have the one-on-one artist. I'm more at the second part. But still, it's still important. And I'm thinking also the security of it, because that's the other question that shows up all the time. It's like, how do I don't get scammed? How am I sure that if I buy this, that it's actually mine? And what the hell can I do with it? Can I sell it? Can I, print it? What can I use it in a campaign? What can I do with the art that I just bought? And the same thing for the artist on the other end. Like, how can I secure the collector on what they're actually getting? Because the canvas we're used to that. We're used to that kind of value. Like you have that on the wall, there's one, or maybe it's 1 out of 100, whatever copies, and you know what it is. And this makes it possible to have that mindset, to still keep that mindset of ownership. Everybody knows Irish, but you can say something anyway.
I don't agree with that. No. Yeah, my name is Neve, and I am one of the artists going to the moon, thanks to this lovely lady. But as you said at the beginning of this panel, to the moon. So people don't actually realize this girl is actually like true to what she's saying. She's not joking when she says to the moon. And I think like you kind of have to reiterate that, right? Because I started NFTs as an artist, as a physical artist. I don't necessarily like to say the word phygital because I feel like people kind of cringe when they hear that for some reason in the Web3 space. I don't know if it does increase your value. I know I could spend more material on paint than I do on the gas fees. Everything adds up, so it can be quite expensive for artists, right? Obviously it depends on you. You're in control of your finances. You can charge whatever you like for your art. I think NFTs definitely gives that great possibility for people that don't have a good visibility in the Web 2 world to have good visibility in the Web 3 world with an anonymous identity, if you wish. And one thing that that I am like really grateful for is to be included in that, because they're definitely not going to be worthless JPEGs anytime soon. Especially there is art on the moon, but there is definitely going to be more interesting art on the moon, because with NFTs, I think we have 47 artworks in total. So it's definitely going to be like the highest number going. I think with your advertisement, your marketing especially, it's really important, right? And it's one thing, like the reason why you would go to this conference as well, to get heard and to make sure people know. So like this lovely lady, if no one has met her before, make sure to join afterwards, Johanna. And then we have a glitter ball over here.
We have moon glitter ball over here, the team. Yes, it is. And I think it was a panel before here where they talked a lot about the story of things and how if you want a long-term project that's actually going to make it in the Web3 world somehow, that you need to keep the lore, the story, the whatever, the connections and the community alive. And what's been so interesting with this project, it's so unbelievable that we do have that pace anyway. Even if we didn't want it from the beginning, even if we wanted to do a hype thing, it was impossible, because even the team was like, oh yeah. We do a lot of like art events in the metaverse, so we're like very, very metaverse oriented, and everybody thought it was a metaverse event. And what is alpha about it is also that we're sending the metaverse to the moon, also not only the artists, but yeah, so it's cool. So come and talk to me about it. So hopefully not worthless JPEGs. I wanted to go back to you, Darko, because you're all over the place. You're traditional, and you're like, you know, doing art for companies, and you're in the NFT world, and you're here, and you know, doing it from many perspectives, and since the, you know, the why shows up all the time about like, why should you do this or that? What is the why about being an artist inside Web3? That's like a super small question, and you have 30 seconds now to answer it. But no, but from your perspective, you know, what is the why to actually do that work to get in here with wallets, with securities, with platforms, with marketing, with, you know, all the stuff that comes with this world? Why?
Basically, for me, it started, I mean, I was born into the beginnings of the digital world, like with video games and stuff like that, and everything went flowing towards this point where it is now. So the reason I love the NFT space and the crypto art space is first and most important, because of the ethos of decentralization. That's one of my favorite things. And then bringing art, trying to decentralize as much as possible art. That was one of the things that kind of brought me to the NFT space. I love the space. It's probably one of the places where I've worked the most in my life, but it's definitely the most enjoyable one. Wonderful people to work with. The new tech that's popping up all around the world that can be used both for art and other things and building stuff. It's usually coming a lot into it's coming into the crypto space, because a lot of the tech people from the world are directly involved into the blockchain space. So that's been definitely the why of why I'm spending so much time in this space.
Yeah, because we all do.
Yeah.
So much time. Someone said in like one of the opening things on the main stage that the only real asset in the world is time. The only real value in the world is time. You know, and maybe we can't solve all philosophical problems at this whole thing, but still, you know, we do spend a lot of time. But I think for an artist, it's also that you have the community part of it, which I like anyways, because as an artist, you're pretty lonesome, to be honest. I mean, it's a lot of work, like you're saying, you're paying, you know, you're buying all this materials or tech or whatever, and you're sitting there and you're trying to do this, and then you try to get the communication, because that's what art is, communication, out to, you know, a recipient, preferably with, you know, $20 in their pockets too. And Web3 has that it's global, and you can connect, and you can also see the other sides of it. It's not closed off like a lot of other, you know, artist spaces where you don't know what museums are doing behind the scenes. You don't know what a, you know, gallery owner is doing. You don't know what a whatever company printing posters are doing. But here all of a sudden we can just sit beside Andreas here and say, you know, what the fuck are you doing? So what would you say with your platform and your experience, you know, is good for the artist to get in? What is the value for I mean, the JPEG, but also the people behind the JPEG, to go into your platform, of course, or, you know, do chill, but also the idea of itself.
First of all, I think it is very important to say the reach of that you as an artist get just by leveraging that technology is amazing, because you can sell, or I mean, you can make a living from like creating your works and then having a community all around the globe where you can actually, that supports you in your work and makes it possible for you to actually make a living from that. But on the other hand, I think it's important to say the main idea of the whole blockchain concept, decentralized networks, was that we are cutting out any intermediaries. That we're cutting out the entities between buyers and sellers, between like entities doing business with each other, because we have that in the real world. There's a lot of like artists want to sell to somebody, but they don't really sell to somebody. They have curators in the middle, and there's galleries in the middle, and there's a lot of things going on in the middle, which is on one hand helpful, because yeah, I mean, they do provide value just because you couldn't do all that work by yourself. But in the digital space, you at least have the chance to do so. And so if you want to cut out all the entities in the middle, you have to go all the way, and you have to cut out the big entities that are there in Web3 at the moment too. This you have to try. I mean, there are big platforms in the big NFT spaces at the moment. You have a Magic Eden, you have Blur, you had OpenSea. Just being there because it was necessary, because they had to like make sure the trade goes through the way that both sides agree to. But it's kind of strange that you go into a decentralized world and then have centralized entities control how you can trade. And I mean, we saw that with the whole royalty thing, is that artists came here with the promise of, hey, you specify this amount of royalties, and then in perpetuity, forever, you will get like this percentage of every future sale. And then the marketplaces just decided to, we just stopped paying that, and it was never enforced anyway. And so giving back this idea of, yeah, why not guarantee that? Why should you actually trust central entities like that even if they are decentralized smart contracts, they are still central entities that have at least some control over what you're doing. And yeah, if you can cut those out, why not? It's kind of like all the way through to the values that brought us here in the first place, I think.
Yeah, true. It is very interesting, to me, to hear builders talk, because it's so interesting you get that both perspective of it, because even like you say, like if you go to another world where you need curators and galleries and whatever, it's still very secret in a way. It feels very secret. It's very unopen. It's unopen about prices. It's unopen about who owns anything. It's unopen about what the bidding really was. It's very closed, and it's so interesting in here that this whole system is not. It's very, very open and see-through in many ways. And I'm not saying there's not problems, but it's, to me, at least as an artist, it's very reassuring that you can actually talk to the people building the system, be in, and influencing the system moving up. I wanted to ask you about the platform part of being an artist, because now we talked about the builder. Ask you about the platform part. What is that? I mean, OpenSea, they say you can have the royalties, now you cannot have the royalties. What's going on? What is this marriage between artists and builders? Why do we have this relationship?
I will try not to talk too much about OpenSea, but yeah, what happened with OpenSea. So huge shout out to the Dada Collective, which was basically the collective that brought royalties into the NFT space. So they were definitely one of the pioneers and the reason why the NFT space kind of expanded to where it is right now, because of the royalties. Then we have the platforms, certain platforms. Some certain platforms are definitely doing a good job with it, but still, like, they are the middleman, which some of them are doing a fantastic job. But then we have some platforms which are literally doing only the business side without caring about the artists or the people that are about the builders, creators, not just artists. Like, because there are a lot of people that are also just building on the space. It's not just about art and visuals. So that was a huge problem, and it seems like it's getting a lot better because people are understanding that the NFTs, the reason the crypto space and NFT space is flourishing is because of all those things. Like, if you remove all those things, it just becomes the traditional world. So it just won't work. It didn't work for a while. We obviously see a lot of problems happening at the platforms which are not respecting royalties and stuff like that. Like, even huge projects are moving their assets away from their platforms. So I think that we will see some good things coming up in the next couple of years, maybe months, because the space is crazy and it goes really fast, but hopefully months. So yeah, I think that at the moment, the platforms are doing a good job. They could do definitely a lot better job, but it seems like they're getting better.
And I also wanted to ask you, since you have like a foot in both places, you do a lot of, real life event. We're here, which is like amazing for community, amazing for meeting people, getting answers, and to the why and to the how and everything. But you're also, spend tons of time inside of Web3 and inside of whatever the avatar and PHP world. And how do you see the connection in between? Do you think it's going to get better, or is it going to get more separate?
I think one thing that we're not realizing, I think in the NFT space, like we see like what 90%, 99%, whatever you want to say, whatever your statistics are, that the JPEGs are worthless. It's only because it's more transparent in the Web3 world, right? In the Web2 world, like it's actually like I will tell you from being an artist when I first joined, it's way more difficult to be a successful artist in Web2 if you're not involved in NFTs. I reached out to so many people when I first joined NFTs. In Ireland, it's really unknown, the blockchain space. If you're involved in blockchain, you're usually a developer or you come from like financial institutions, not so much like the art world. It's not really connected just yet. We're kind of behind, I would say, a little bit in that. So I tried to bring a lot of people that I know that are really good artists and introduce them to NFTs. And I just found it too difficult to kind of grasp it. You know, they weren't crypto native. So I think you do have to be crypto, you have to make it be easy for yourself, right? And with time, it will happen because UX design will get better. I come from a UX design background, and it's something that I hope to help improve in the NFT space because it's something we drastically do need. It's easier, like simplified methods of communication, and as well as that visual communication as well. But I don't believe that the NFT space is any different in that way, that things are more worthless here than the Web2 space. It's just that it's more transparent and we're getting to see the value of it straight away. Like in our portfolio, we're seeing the value of it straight away on a marketplace. And it's straight away brought to our attention before you really get to look at the visual, like the aesthetics. I know like Darko, we have like there's a lot of different marketplaces that we have to use. Like it's difficult to be an artist, but I just think like with thanks to NFTs, it's a little bit more easy to meet collectors and actually like get your voice heard. You don't have to have like a very big following. I think Web2 world you do. I think like unless you have like 100,000 followers on Instagram, you're not going to make it. You know, so I think like we definitely need to be pushing artists that are so successful in Web2 and make sure that they are in Web3, because otherwise, like most artists become collectors at the end of the day. Like Darko, when you first joined NFTs, you probably thought, this is great, I'm going to sell my artwork, but you probably never assumed you'd be a collector, right? And
Actually, I did because I've been collecting
Oh, you
work.
did?
Even I've been collecting artworks even in the, like let's say in the physical space, in the traditional art
Yeah.
world. So collecting was another of the things that I really loved actually in the space.
And like as a collector as well, okay, you would have way more artwork you've collected than sold.
Well, I mean, I've been collecting both like physical things and digital. I mean, I love the digital world. I have two screens at home, so I love flexing the things that I've collected. So I enjoy both like the collecting part and the creating part. And with the collecting part, it also brings you a lot closer to a lot more people that you can talk to, collaborate with, and etc. Like it opens up the space for so many new things.
No, absolutely. I need to talk to Darko after this. I'm after learning something new.
Definitely, we do in here all the time. Are we up? Because I don't have a watch. Are we like last question now? What? Oh, there's
It's
one
like
there.
20 seconds,
there's
but
one there.
but there will be
I'm
like
totally confused.
there will be a short break afterwards. So just you can
Just
just
go.
finish and
So I could
wrap
do a
up. So,
last
yeah.
question before we jump off. That's good. Because I want to do, I want to ask you guys about the future. Like my experience is fast, hard, and short, and that's kind of what Web3 is to me. It's like you take a nap and you don't know what's happening. You go to lunch, you come back, you have 10 new platforms, 59 new projects, whatever, it's so fast and you try to be there all over the place. And finally, after a while, you realize it's like impossible. I mean, you can't be everywhere. So then you have to start choosing, like here in the conference. Sometimes there's, two speeches you want to listen to, and you have to choose. So I'm thinking I want to ask the question about the value and the art part of Web3, where you guys think this is going to go, in the future. Where are we going really with this? Why are we doing this, and where are we going, and how will we like increase the value or make the value easier to see or make it more, accessible for everyone, which is not today. So today it's like people get really stopped by the tech if they're not into it, or they get really afraid of wallets, or really afraid of whatever, it really means to start collecting art in this world, or start selling art in this world, or promoting it. So what do you think is like close future in that? Where are we going? Small question.
Yeah, I just want to say the tech has to disappear. At least all the Web3 part of it. It has to be, if you want to collect an artwork and you've never collected anything in the Web3 world, and you just like are at some physical event, see some artwork you want to own, it should just be one button and then Apple Pay or whatnot, and then you own it. That should be it. And you should do that while keeping all the values of decentralization, of being independent of platforms. But you have to be this good in your user experience, otherwise people will just not do it. And so I think that's the missing step that we have to close, the missing gap. Just because, yeah, there are so many centralized networks out there. Like, you have to be as easy as Instagram. You have to be as easy as TikTok in order for it to make the last step.
I think you're super right, because that's a question we get from artists all the time. We do a board, a lot of people, and they get caught. It can take us months to get people up running, because it's like too much tech. And some artists are both. You have both the stuff. You like the tech and it's fun and it's interesting, but we do have a lot of artists that don't. That's not what they're interested in. So I think that's a really fair and good point. And yes, and call me when it's done. I want it. So what do you think for us artists? Where are we going?
I mean,
In this
I
space.
agree. I agree on the topic that that part of tech should be at least like moved away at least a bit. But I really love the part about tech and building, especially when it comes from developers, like connecting the tech with the art. So basically having digital interactive pieces in certain way that, because we were talking worthless JPEGs, those things bring a lot more value, especially because it's not just a digital image that someone has like on their phone or something like that, but then you can actually do something with it, or the image on itself does something. So it brings certain amount of value. So I really love the part about tech and art being connected, but I do completely agree about tech being moved at least a bit from the selling part and collaborating part and how we interact with people. And definitely we need a lot easier UI and UX designs, because probably the biggest problem that we have right now as community and as everyone working in the space is teaching people outside of Web3 how to use wallets and all those complicated stuff, especially when you have to explain the security part, then it becomes complete hell.
I think you're right. I think we need that step.
No doubt, I would say marketing helps increase value for brand, whether you're an artist, you're a brand, that's your business, right? You still have to consider yourself a brand, no matter if you're like registered as an organization in Estonia or anywhere. You are a brand, so you have to act like a brand. You have to act like a business. That's going to increase your value. So I would say it's not simple. You might have to hire someone, or you might have to hire many people, right? I see day-to-day experts, just in Discord. If you're developing like a bot or something, that will help increase like your community satisfaction, which will help increase your JPEG. You have to consider like outside the box things. It's not just how visually appealing your art looks, because it doesn't work like that in the NFT world. It's much harder than that. You can't just create something that looks nice and expect to sell it for millions of dollars. It's not the way it works. You still have to work incredibly hard on marketing. In terms of like UX design, we have to wait for guys like you to develop it, and and talk to, like, we have to talk together and make sure that we are like working. Like most people in the NFT space work remotely all over the world, yeah. I hate nothing more than Monday meetings, but Mondays I'm on back-to-back calls all day long from morning till morning, and it's because there's different time zones all over the world, so we have to make sure that we're talking, we understand the same language, basically. You need to understand developers' point of view. Developers need to understand marketing point of view. As long as we understand each other, we can help to make those features better.
I agree. Time. You know, it's very important. But that's also, you know, the value of the JPEG. It's not local, it's global, which also makes for, you know, the security of it, you know, that it's decentralized, all this, the community, but it's also the range that will put, you know, value into that you might not have in a traditional artwork, that you get to meet so many people. And just to be super blunt, it should be so much easier to find that lover collector than if you just meet 5 people in your own country. So yeah, thank you, people. You are great, and thank you, Irish, thank you, Darko,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This was
Thank you.
fun, and get rid of that worthless thing. You know, go JPEG, people.